Okay, so I'm going to start a 3-part video series, and I like having questions and answering questions. Like, I used to go on this one forum where it was like a question and answer forum where basically like people would ask a question and then you could start like a discussion about it or debate about it. And basically I had a 3-part video series that I wanted to do answering a question. I broke it down into subtopics. And so for this 3-part video series, I wanted to answer the question of how modern society indoctrinates women. And to answer that topic, I wanted to break it down even more, and I wanted to answer that in 3 videos. And in those 3 video parts, I wanted to talk about, and in those 3-part videos, I wanted to talk about basically 1, why we need powerful role models, 2, why society tells women we need to be pretty as women, and 3, why society is limiting women's potential by focusing on appearance. Okay, so I'm going to go a little out of order in this, but I wanted to broach the last topic first. And basically the last topic is why society is limiting women's potential by focusing on appearance. And so I broke that down into 3 more subtopics. 1, it creates a subconscious glass ceiling. Here's the thing. If you're raised as a child to believe that your goal in life is to be hot or pretty or sexy or attractive, you're going to be raised with the belief that there's this sort of glass ceiling if you're not pretty enough, or if you're not sexy enough, or if you're not hot enough. But it's also going to create this subconscious glass ceiling within yourself, within your peers, that your only value to society is your appearance or what you look like. So that's one huge thing. The other issue with society limiting their potential by focusing on their appearance is that it creates this perceived notion that women depreciate with age. Because, if your only contribution to society is your appearance, then as you get older, you have less value to society. And it creates this image in women's minds that they're like an object, like a used car that loses value with age. And it's incredibly dehumanizing. Third point, it makes women believe that their only value to society is being fuckable. That it doesn't matter if they're smart, it doesn't matter if they're witty, it doesn't matter any contribution that they bring to the world, whether it's empathy, whether it's compassion, whether it's athleticism, whatever skill or contribution they have, that it's meaningless. And here's the thing. When society focuses on a woman's appearance, it sort of builds subconsciously in your head. And I think it's really easy for me to sort of I have notes on the side. That's why I keep looking over here and then looking back and looking here and looking back. But I think it's easy for me to point out these sort of cultural or societal biases because I was raised in a very untraditional American family. I was raised in a bicultural family. And as sort of true to stereotype, in Asian families, you're raised to believe that your contribution to society is your intellect. And there's downsides to that, and I may talk about that in another video. Actually, that's a good video idea. Okay, so that is going to be another video topic. But I wanted to talk about how I was raised in a bicultural society. Okay, so I think it's easy for me to see these sort of unconscious biases play out just because I was raised in a different culture. And because I was raised in a different culture, I sort of view Western society sort of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like, if you're testing the temperature of a bathtub. If you're completely submerged in a bathtub, it's just gonna feel like a bathtub. Whereas if you have 1 foot in the bathtub and 1 foot outside the bathtub, you're gonna notice the difference. And because I was raised in a bicultural household, I had like 1 foot in one culture and 1 foot in another culture. So I could see the pros and cons of being raised in an Asian culture and the pros and cons being raised in a Western culture. Oh, that could be a huge video topic. I wrote that down as a note because I do want to do that for another topic. But before I get sidetracked too many times, I'm going to go back to the other point. Because I had 1 foot in American culture and 1 foot in another culture, it allowed me to see the plus sides and the downsides of every culture. And I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm going to talk about that in another video. But that's why it was easy for me to see when I got older, how much my perception of myself varied so much from other people's perception of me. Because I was raised to believe that intellect was sort of the main priority, or being intelligent was the main priority of my self-identity, I never really attached to appearance. Whereas when I look at Western society is so different than Asian culture. Asian culture places so much emphasis. Well, I guess it depends on which Asian culture, because there's so many different Asian countries. I don't want to go into specifics right now. I am generalizing a little bit, but for the purpose of this video, it's okay if I generalize. In American culture, what I've noticed, and I don't know if it's because there's Hollywood in American culture or what it is, but it's much easier for people to view a woman and say that, you know, your contribution to society is your appearance. And I think that's incredibly demeaning, and it makes a woman feel like she's an object, whether a sex object or just an object in general, and it's super objectifying. And the point of this video for me was to explore how, as I've gotten older, I've become much more sexualized. When I was a kid, it would just be comments, like small little comments, whereas when I've gotten older, I'm 25 now. And as I've gotten older and more of like sexual maturity as people view it, I've become much more sexualized. And as I've become much more sexualized, it's made me much more uncomfortable. Because I approach much like many dynamics in a very platonic sense, and it makes me very, very uncomfortable. And I view that sort of immediate sexualization of women, that immediate sort of expectation of sexualizing women, as sort of a unconscious bias that exists in Western society and American society. And I think that because American society, or society in general, focuses so much on appearance, is that it's very, very limiting for women in particular, because it makes women believe that their contribution to society is substantially limited. And it makes society incredibly shallow. So that's a little anticlimactic, and I repeated myself a little bit, but I got really excited because there are all these like subtopics that I can go on in other videos. But I want to end that for now, and until next time.